Hello again everyone, we're still here. If this is the first video from us that you've seen, then to fill you in, I'm Max.
And I'm Pablo.
And we're two boyfriends making a cinematic choices matter game set in a foggy post-apocalyptic desert with a companion system, stealth gameplay, and a location choosing system similar to what you might expect from a typical RPG. Our aim for this game is to have each playthrough feel like a completely different experience, so that different players might have seen completely different locations and met different characters, making your story feel more unique to you. The first game was a game I made as sort of a love letter to Pablo when I was about 18. And now for this game we both do all of the programming, art, marketing, animation, 3D modelling and music between the two of us. Pablo also does all of the administration for our company and the technical side of development. I think it's safe to say that whilst the first game was a gift to him from me, his gift in return was making it possible for us to pursue game development as a viable career. I honestly wouldn't have been able to do this without him.
Thankfully, the writing has been split between three of us this time around. Our close friend Leah, who also voiced Mia in the first game, has been so helpful and has done an amazing job at fleshing out some of the characters. I think having each other to check over our work means that the quality of writing for this game should be a lot better than the first.
We wanted to do this devlog video because we know you would all appreciate us being transparent with you guys about what we've been up to and where we're at. So within this devlog, we're going to go over the timeline of the project and its progress so far, show off various behind the scenes bits of how the game is being created, be honest about where we've struggled, and break down both mine and Pablo's roles in the project.
We'll also introduce two companions that can join you throughout the game, and then we'll go over what you can expect from the game later on and our plans for release.
Because this is a look at the game mid-development, you'll probably see things that were done early in the game, and as a result, some things might look a bit rough or ugly. It might also mean that some of the things we show you will change before release. In fact, just this week, I literally implemented outlines to the terrain system, which I'll admit was a bit of a challenge, but I think it looks really nice and kind of matches our style a bit more. For the art, we wanted to step this project up from the last one. One of the biggest criticisms from the first game was that the art style was too childlike, putting some people off playing completely. Which is fair enough, as I was actually about 17 when I made the character designs. Another problem with the art style from the first game was that animating characters was very finicky and tedious because they weren't drawn with the right proportions, and half the time the limbs would have to be completely redrawn if the characters were climbing up a ladder or grabbing another character or anything like that. So having the characters in this game be traced from real people was something that we were excited to do. Plus, it meant we could have our friends involved in the game as all we needed were pictures of their face.
That's your problem. You think I could ever go out there, live with a little community and play happy families? None of you outsiders get it!
The particular style of pseudo 3D characters which we've gone for in this game is something that hasn't been done all too often. Some notable examples are Super Mario Kart for the SNES, or maybe Doom and Wolfenstein. And now, in retrospect, I can completely understand why. So, for every character, I needed to draw 8 different angles, and then obviously if they have a 6-frame walk animation or run animation, that means 6 frames for all 8 angles. To be honest, I'm glad I didn't actually do the maths on how many frames this would ultimately mean I had to draw for every character in the game, because if I'd known how long it would have taken and how many individual frames I had to make, I think it would have put me off completely. Another benefit about this new art style meant that it's been easy to animate, as like I said earlier, now that everyone's proportionate, I can just use real poses as references. However, we do understand that the new art style has been a bit divisive among fans who actually did prefer the more simplistic style of the first game. But perhaps next time we'll reach out to everyone first to see what they think early on in the design process. In fact, everyone's feedback so far has been very helpful to us, and we've already been able to change things that people pointed out looked slightly weird or wrong in the videos and images we've released so far, such as one of Ted's face angles I showed earlier, or even small things like these dinosaur arms whilst Ted was driving. Okay, moving on to 3D models. The Construct game engine has also had many updates since the first game, including 3D model support, meaning we can now use 3D models for environments and objects. This means no more flat tires. We were lucky that Pablo's younger brother is very skilled with Blender and has been making professional 3D models since he was younger. He very kindly taught me how to make 3D models and how to create UV maps and set up material nodes, etc. as I'd just never done anything like that before. Also, using Blender meant we could utilize baked lighting to make the environments feel more alive while still maintaining the cartoon style textures and keeping performance just generally great on all devices. I've been able to do simple animations with ease, but as for the more complicated and intricate animations, we've relied on professionals to help bring the best quality to our game. One of our main goals for this game was to try and address the issues that we feel Choices Matter games typically have. One example of this being how if in one game or episode it was possible for a character to live or die, then usually in the next episode the character would have been killed off immediately so that the developers could get everyone to the same page. In our game, Diego is an example of how, because his fate was determinate in the first game, we wanted, spoilers, warning, although that might be too late, we wanted players to have the ability to either have him be there throughout the entire game or not at all. And because we had this whole system created just for Diego, it made it very easy to actually incorporate other companions that, just like Diego, can be there for the whole journey or not. So we're excited to give you guys a first look at companions Maria and Randy. We don't want to spoil too much about them yet, but just know that each of them will bring a completely different dynamic to your party. And obviously it's up to you whether you take them with you or leave them behind. And don't worry, we're also aware that typically in games that have this sort of freedom and flexibility with multiple different characters that can be there or not, they would have like a reduced speaking role and the characters would have conversations around them as if they weren't there. So we made an effort to write and structure scenes in a way that made every character feel like they were supposed to be there, even if it's possible for them not to be.
The engine we use, Construct 3, has become a much more powerful tool over the years. As mentioned earlier, it now natively supports 3D models, as well as the TypeScript programming language. The first game was written entirely with event blocks, and this led to some pretty horrible spaghetti code. I'm sure Max won't be offended by me calling it that. Troubleshooting often took him hours, and we had lots of completely baffling issues. For instance, this one, the case of the evil blanket, which would randomly appear in certain maps for seemingly no reason. Any of you who've played the mobile port have probably noticed bugs like this, because in trying to squeeze the game onto mobile after it was already finished, the spaghetti kind of unraveled even further and caused lots of performance issues. We promised that for the next game we would avoid this mess by 1. Building the game to support mobile from the ground up, and 2. Using TypeScript for the core systems. TypeScript is much more performant and powerful than event sheets, which for a big game like this is essential. So while Max has been focusing on the fun stuff like artwork and content creation, I've been building and optimizing the core systems. One really easy win was upgrading the UI from in-game images and text into a fully fledged UI system. This has some nice bonuses like making the game faster to load, easier to localize, and it decouples the UI from the resolution so you can have sharp text on less powerful devices. Stuff like this happens behind the scenes and it isn't that exciting, but it shows how we're really reaching into every part of the game and making sure it's been improved. While Construct has come a long way, it's still based on web technologies, so unlike typical game engines like Unity or Godot, our game is technically just a very complicated website. And while this is great in some ways, we've struggled with 3D performance on lower end devices specifically. This is why it might take some extra time for us to tweak and optimize the game so that it works well on every device we end up supporting. We like to treat this as a fun little challenge, although sometimes it really does hold us back, so although we've had fun with Construct 3, our next game will almost certainly be made with Godot instead. The other side of my work has been the music, which is my favourite part, and the feedback we received on the first game's soundtrack was really positive, and I really wanted to put my all into the soundtrack again this time around. The game has a brand new original soundtrack which incorporates elements of the old soundtrack.
So, what's next? We haven't got a solid release date yet, but we know we definitely want to get a demo out in the Steam Next Fest closest to where the game launches. Then we'd be able to iron out any problems people have on their devices in time for release. At the moment, this is looking like the full game may release around Q2 next year. We know this is later than we initially said, but we don't want to compromise anything about our vision, meaning we can put the extra time into making sure we deliver everything we want to and put detail in places that we wouldn't have been able to do had we still released this year. We will admit this was a very ambitious game for 2 people to make, but we're finally past the thick of it. We've got everything in place now, so we know that it's going to work the way we want, and we're happy to say that this game is already longer and has more choices than the first. At the end of the day, we wouldn't accept anything that isn't bigger and better than the last game, and we're very grateful for everyone's ongoing support.
We're active on our Discord server, and we have a great team of moderators and a nice little community growing. It's a place people can share fan art, join in on art competitions, and discuss things about the game. We often share screenshots and updates more frequently there than on our other socials, so join if you're interested and haven't already.